Hi, friends, and welcome to Costuming in Color. This is a YouTube show dedicated to showcasing amazing costumers of color and those that support them. I'm Gigi, a history buff, historical costumer, and dabblist.
And I'm Noelle, a costumer who likes to play both sides of the historical and cosplay world. And today we are interviewing Hairan, the Brazilian baroness.
Hello, how everybody?
Hi, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited and nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. We're just chilling here. This is all fun.
Well, we're going to get into it, but first, some house rules. The first rule of Costuming in Color is that you tell everyone about costuming in color.
This way, even if you don't have people of color in your local area or groups, you can get to know some out here on our global community on the internet.
Okay, we'll do.
And the second rule is that kindness matters. Aside from that, there are honor rules. So let's get started. So Hairan, where are you from and do you still live there?
I don't live there. I am from Rio. I grew up in Rio and Vitória, which is the tiniest and smallest capital in Brazil. And now I live in St. Louis in Missouri.
And what is your favorite thing about where you live?
My favorite thing, can I say a favorite thing about the three of those places?
Yeah.
So my favorite thing about Rio is Rio. The place is amazing. There is a huge hype on it, but it's because it's well deserved. It's amazing. This is the kind of place that you're coming back from work and it's so beautiful, and you're in a crowded, thing, and or on a boat, a ferry boat, or a bus or whatever, and it's super crowded and you're exhausted, but the sunset is so beautiful that everybody just naturally shut up and you're like, oh, the last sun rays are touching the sea, and you're like, oh. So that's how beautiful it truly is. My favorite thing about Vitória is well, it barely rains. It's an island, but it barely rains. And we have over 35,000 different species of orchids.
Oh, wow.
So amazing. Yeah, like they grow on trees. Like here you have squirrels. And about Missouri is the buildings. All of the buildings are, I think, is well preserved. I think most of them, which is a surprise to me because some of them are empty and they're not graffiti or anything. So I think it's beautiful here too. And the parks. So yeah. I really like the World Fair venues that they left.
So I went to Rio once when I was young, and I remember it like I was probably like 13 or so. My grandparents took me because my grandfather did his sabbatical there, and he helped build bridges in Brazil. And so he's an engineer. So I went there when I was young, and what I remember distinctly is that like every single human being there was gorgeous. I was just like, all of these people are so pretty.
Thanks. Well, I'm biased.
Me too.
Tell us a little bit about your Instagram handle. What is it and why did you choose it?
My Instagram handle is Brazilian Baroness. Is a play with the alliteration. I like the repetition of the bra. And also because Baroness or Baron was the cheapest title that they had in Brazil when the crown went to Brazil, running away from Napoleon. They start selling titles to a lot of people because they had no money and they had nowhere to stay. So they just, try to capitalize on titles. And Baron was the cheapest title. And we have a baroness in every single state. So my plan of world domination is after I finish this project, Brazilian Baroness, where I teach people, or I plan to teach people how to do Brazilian clothing of the same period. We will have a baroness in every state, or maybe more. So that's the plan. I will be one of the Brazilian baronesses.
Very nice.
The new ones.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
I hope so.
What is the costuming scene like where you live?
Here in Missouri is awesome. In Brazil, we're still building it. We had some people here and there that did something. They were on the right path, I think, but they were not with the concern of being historically correct, or if they were with that concern, they weren't quite achieving because lack of resources or lack of research. I don't know. We have a lot of problem in Brazil with simply the people that were, I don't know, rich back then, didn't feel the need to preserve many of the clothing. So we don't have anything from the 18th century, which is a shame. We don't have anything from the early 18th, but we have since the crown came to Brazil. So, you know, a little bit of the early 18th we have from the crown, but we don't have like for regular people. So we are starting to dig again into the journals and all the written sources that we can to try to put together what it was back then. So we have a lot of problem with that, but I think people are doing a great job today. You know, like they're really going above and beyond. It is pretty hard. I'm not trying to, you know, take away their credit. It's just that I feel like before we had no idea we could go to something that was historically accurate. I think back then we were just, let's do Marie Antoinette, you know, let's just be French for a day. I guess that people were just with that crazy idea that you just put something and then you magically turn into whatever, you know, and there weren't much of concern of, I don't know, anything of research.
Mm-hmm. Is there a cosplay scene in Brazil?
Cosplay is big. We are one of like, well, I don't follow the Olympic cosplay Olympic anymore, the summit, but we were one of the biggest champions. We were champions quite a bit. Yeah, we're pretty big in cosplay, but more Japanese media. Not
Oh yeah, for sure.
The American media, but I think they're starting to have a lot more competitive Brazilians with the comics and everything. And now with Wonder Woman being Brazilian, we're gonna be a lot more on, I don't know, on the flashlight, I think. And Missouri, the kids here rock. Sistine has a group over here that is a historical sewing society. And yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah, I'm there. And it's pretty big. We just came from a picnic with them.
Ooh, I saw pictures of that. It looked so much fun.
It truly was. I couldn't be more blessed with a group because they are so welcoming and so nice. I lived in the different states. Not everybody's that nice. I keep telling them that like it's beyond how nice they are. They are truly nice online, but like in real life, they are the same way.
Those people in that group are legit. Yeah.
Yes. Because some people pretend to care and other people do care. So it's really refreshing to be welcomed.
Yeah.
So for you personally, cosplay, historical, or both?
Both is good.
So when you do historical, what time period or place is your favorite?
I am trying to focus on Brazilian heritage. So I'm focusing on 18th century and 19th century. And I'm creeping into the 20s because it's where I know for sure my family, like everybody of my family. So I try to do stuff that is more close to me and close to my heart. And I had a grandmother or my great grandmother used to wear things that touch me more personally. However, I had some followers ask me to portray or to show other parts of Brazil as well, because it's not shown. It's crazy that Brazil is as big as America, and yet where are the influencers talking about Brazilian wear, or heritage, or even food? Like how come we're not talking about it?
We have a Brazilian restaurant where I live, and it's delicious.
Do you? Awesome.
I love it.
I'm biased. I love it too.
Yeah.
So do I want to be like a spokesperson of Brazil? No, but did it end up being kind of like that? Yes, because of the handle that I chose, of course. People are going to be like, hey, aren't you the Brazilian baroness? How come you're not talking about this specific thing of Brazil? And I'm like, it's because I don't feel prepared. This is not something that I lived, or, not everything I lived, but I'm trying. And this is what I'm doing the research for, bringing people that did live and still do live, so they can tell you about their experience.
Yeah.
Because mine would be superficial at minimal. And that is a thing that Brazilians have a lot. They are concerned about being culturally appropriating other things that are from Brazil, because it's so different. It's just so different.
Sao Paulo and Rio are different countries.
Yeah. And you can tell like by the face of the people, like you can point where the person is from because of the type of colonization, the accent. We have different national traditional clothing. We have different dishes. Every state has their own dish. So it's kind of like different countries, really.
So when you do cosplay, what type of characters do you gravitate toward?
I only cosplay strong women. This is, I don't know, is a thing that happened from the beginning. And I feel like I only cosplay people that I would like to be, or would like to have something from the person, like Storm. Obviously, Storm is beautiful. Sure enough, she's powerful, but above the physical power that she has as a mutant, she has inner strength that is amazing, because if she gets upset, the whole people around her can get affected. So she has worked herself mentally to, be zen and, be a leader. And she's awesome. No wonder she was the original leader of the X-Men, kind of thing.
How did you start in costuming?
Carnival. I am from Rio, and we say we're a daughter of Carnival, sons of Carnival and daughters of Carnival. I was made in Carnival, so that's why. It's a proud for me to be part of the Carnival culture. My parents were in love with it, and I grew up doing it. My family was not that wealthy, and my grandmother used to make costumes commercially. So we are costume makers since the 50s, I think, or maybe even before. I don't know if her mom also did it commercially or not. So she made it, my mom made it, I made it, and I met cosplay with the comic books. They had advertisement on the back of the comic book. And like I said, I lived in the smallest capital in Brazil. It's like you can bike around it. It's so tiny. Beautiful, but tiny. And I used to buy those comic books, and I was like, one day I'll go to this fair, which was a convention, Anime Dreams. That was the name of it. And one day I was going to go there fully dressed, and I finished my cosplay on the bus going there. When I got there, I was wearing it.
That's all that matters.
Amazing. It was amazing. And then they started to have conventions in my town, and I was there too, fully, with regalia. And people started to ask me where I got those stuff, because they simply didn't make in Brazil. And as a matter of fact, they didn't make until not long ago in the Latin America.
Mhm.
So people start buying from me, and I opened a studio there specialized in costumes. I was one of the first studios in Brazil. We only made things that you could sew. So shoes, the garment, and wigs. And I still make wigs. I have some of the, I don't have all the machinery anymore because it's just me. And I'm taking a break because of the quarantine to learn more stuff about historical clothing. But yeah, I started because I used to make it myself. You're either creative or rich. So I
Yes.
wasn't rich.
So now that we know how you started, tell us a little bit about what keeps you in the community.
There you go. It's love and definitely work. I am still a costume designer. That's what I do for a living. So usually I sell the things I do, but like I said, I did it a halt a little bit because I want to learn and try to put my project in paper. I noticed that it wasn't the idea originally. I came up with the idea of the Brazilian Baroness as a series on YouTube. But the thing is, a lot of people are asking me way deeper questions that not necessarily I know the answer, but I am researching about it. And if I find it, I'll definitely answer them. And a lot of people, they are also researching about Brazilian wear, contact me, and we are trading information, everything. So there is need to have articles written, like properly written about it, and books to be published. So right now I'm not sure, but thinking about it because it is a lot of people asking for it.
Yeah.
So what I keep coming is because it's so fun. Like during this whole research project, I'm finding a lot of people that I never thought would even speak to me, you know, and it's just so, how can I say, it's gratifying to find that a lot more people have the same passion that you do, you know, and it's, they just didn't have the chance to meet because it always feels like there is nobody in Brazil doing anything, but there is. It's just that we don't know each other.
Yeah.
So we just needed to have maybe, you know, somebody with the name Brazilian that you know it's Brazilian, so they can come and meet. So we created a few groups, so people will find each other on Facebook, and it's been fun. It's been crazy. I wasn't expecting that many people, you know. I was expecting like, I don't know, 5, 10, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's surprisingly a lot.
I mean, Brazil is massive and has a huge population. So if even a percentage of those people want to know.
Right. But I
people.
was, it's just, maybe it's self-depreciation that I have of myself. I don't know, but I did not expect a lot of people. And the people that met me also said the same thing. Like, oh, I didn't know somebody did that in Brazil, 1. And 2, I didn't know that many people were involved.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they are just researching, but they're not making the garments. They don't know how to sew. So my series are starting with the very foundations of it, like how to make a chemise, how to make a shift. And then we're going to go slowly, you know, how to make a pocket and everything. So I can talk about the kind of lace that we used to have, and we still do. How was that similar to the European lace? Like who brought it, that kind of thing. So, but before we get to that point, we need to know what's the difference between lace and embroidery, you know, and I don't know, like it's just very step by step. Or for instance, one thing that today they were asking about, the name of the stitches. Many of the Brazilians watch the I don't know, English videos, and they use obviously English names. So we have the difficulty to do the translation of what the stitching would be in Portuguese.
Yeah.
And it's a silly thing, but back stitching, running stitching, stay stitching, it's just sometimes they don't know what's the translation, and I'm trying to, you know, create a whole dictionary with that. So yeah, it's going. It feels like it's slow, but it's going super fast actually.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Like that's really important work that you're doing.
It feels like I don't feel like how can I say, I deserve it, like the credit, because it's a lot of people, but also I feel like it's a lot of work at the same time. It feels like we never finish anything, but in the between is a lot of work going on.
Yeah. So what would you like to see improve in the costuming community?
Ooh. Can I be controversial?
You can be as controversial as you want on this show.
Okay. So I would like to see less elitism. I feel like, sure enough, some people are racist, and we can see blatant racism. It's easy to see, it's easy to spot, right? And everybody's against it, sure. But elitism can be a form of racism, a disguised racism, because they are masking, saying that they don't like certain fabrics or they don't like certain finishes, but in reality, what you are excluding is not European white people. What you are excluding is people like I can't say about all countries, but I can say about Brazil. In Brazil, majority of, you know, poor people are brown people, and, you know, BIPOCs, really, like mixed race with everything that isn't white. So basically, when you say you don't like a silk, a non-silk dress, you're saying that basically anything a Brazilian would do, you won't like, because we barely have silk over there. We have the bugs, we have the little worms, we fabricate it, but then 100% of our silk is exported. So you all buy our silk, but you think it's Asian silk sometimes. But that's a different thing that Brazilians do to sell stuff. But anyways, so sometimes people would say stuff like that, and I see Brazilians asking for help in certain groups, and people are like, "Oh, you didn't do piping? Ew! You just ruined hours of sewing by not doing the piping." And the people are like, "Where am I gonna find piping? You know, I tried to make my own piping," and then people are just saying stuff like just little policing of materials. But just have in mind when you say, or, you know, when people say that, "Oh, I don't like a certain material because it's inferior," you're really acting like people that should be in the guillotine, you know? It's kind of like the behavior that they had back then and nobody liked. We still don't like.
Yep.
Yes, that's a good point. Like we say, oh, we wouldn't have stood for the aristocrats treating a whole class of people differently. And the elitism you're talking about is inextricably linked to classism, right?
Yep.
We know this in the past, that this was done, and we look down on those people. We say, oh, if I lived back then, I would have never. But what are you doing now? Is it the same thing?
It's kind of, it's not 100% like that, but it's a little bit like that with the historical society. And in some groups, not everywhere, the people will look at you and be like, "Oh, you use synthetic. Ew. Oh, this fabric is not organically dyed. You wasted your time. This synthetic is just so, I can see the metal on it." Yeah, can you really? Because this is a shocking revelation. So far, I have not done a single gown 100% natural. All of the fabrics that I use are, I mix silk, expensive silk, with really cheap $5 taffeta.
I'm pretty sure that I don't even have it. Oh, I mean, I have stuff that's like cotton, but like of anything that I have that's silk, there is at least one mixed fiber thing in every single outfit, like at least one. Yeah, I want to take that little montage you just did and make it into a video of its own and just put it up on the internet for everybody.
It needs to be a TikTok video.
It really does.
The sun is hitting my nose, so I'm very self-conscious that like half the time you were talking, my nose was a bright color, and then it wasn't, and then it was, and it wasn't. So you guys just ignore what's going on with my nose. It's not
okay.
Not
I didn't notice at all.
What's more important is what she just said, and I super subscribe to that. If you are holding an event where you have standards, right, and people are paying money to come, and you let them know ahead of time, this is what I'm doing, and people want to come to that, great. But for inclusion's sake, I think a lot of groups should be more welcoming of people of different socioeconomic backgrounds, people who are just starting out, and who maybe, if they're gonna eventually ever buy $25, $35, $45 a yard silk, they're not at the point where they feel comfortable cutting into that right now. And I mean, it's a terrifying prospect to mess up hundreds of dollars of investment if you're a beginner.
And the thing is, how would they know? You know, can you put the TikTok song? How would they know?
Oh, I love that one. I love that one. They're gonna know.
Seriously, they don't know. They claim they know, but unless you do a burn test on my gown, which you would never, I will fight you before you could get any closer. How would you know? And this is something that I guess I'm trying to prove because I haven't used a single, like, I used silk on the last one, on the top part of it, because there is no faking that fabric. But if I could fake that fabric, I would not use silk because it's very expensive. I'm big. I'm a big girl and I'm tall. I am 5'8", 5'9", and I'm 200 something. It's a lot of fabric. Any dress is 8 yards minimum.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So there you go. I can't just make gowns of silk every time I want. And definitely, I'm not going to use pure silk on the lining. Nobody's going to know.
No one will know.
How would they know? How are they going to know?
So just know, if you invite us to your event, you need to be very clear what the standards are. Because I don't want to crash. If you don't want me there, I don't want to be there.
Oh, I'll crash.
Tell me. Tell me you don't want that stuff there, and I'll be like, fine, I'm not coming. I wouldn't want to give my money to someone who is doing something I don't agree with.
So we are not invited for free. We're not like, okay.
No, I mean, if
you got a point, yeah. But if I was invited for free and then I get it, I want to see people like, how do you say when you not let people in?
You mean at the door?
Yeah.
Turn you away at the door?
Yeah. What's the name of it?
It's turn you away at the door.
Turn you away, like in a nightclub or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And I'm the kind of person that sues. So
she's like, I'm litigious. I will sue you. I come from
I'm litigious also.
Yeah, I mean, I get dressed, ready. I'm ready to go. I am the full spectacle. I get to the door and you're like, oh, you're very synthetic. What? Excuse me? How do you know? How do you prove that this gown is synthetic? Prove me. I want to see you prove me. And how do you do? Unless you burn it, how do you prove it's synthetic?
We're going to make some TikTok videos. We're doing it.
So that's the kind of thing that I feel like they don't really know what they're talking about. They just want to say they don't like synthetic because they don't want poor people to be part of their little club, because now the club is big.
And you know how we know that? Because I am a white person and I show up in a gown that is 100% synthetic. In fact, the skirt is made out of nylon, which is the most disgusting of the synthetic fabrics. And everyone's like, where did you find that silk? And I'm like, no, people, if you scratch on it, it sounds like a DJ scratching on a record. It's so nylon. I'm like, no, all of this is synthetic. I will use natural fibers when I can because they are more comfortable on my body because they breathe better. Yeah. And that is always my statement. And if I have to use synthetic to get either it cheaper or to get the color I want or to get the fabric in the color I want, I'm not going to ever hesitate.
And also, I feel I am really big into lining with 100% cotton and
or linen,
shifts and chemises, 100% organic because I am very allergic to a lot of things synthetic. So I truly understand and appreciate organic materials. But as a costume designer, I need to think about my client. And many times, even though sometimes they say they want silk, unless the person knows silk and understands what's the price behind silk as well, and how they're gonna keep adding money to it because you need to have specific ways of treatment to clean it. Unless the person is knowledgeable of the material, I never work with silk for a client because I know they're going to be upset with it because they don't want to do the dry cleaning or silk, So I try to always use the synthetic version of it. There are a big range of synthetic silks, from really cheap one, like $2, $5 one that people use for parties. They put like on the table or curtains, and they are the replica. They're pretty good. And there is even vegan silk, which is not silk, and it's an entire different material. But there are another variety that, is it historically correct? No, but I'm pretty sure that vegan people appreciate a lot because they want to be part of it and they don't want to kill 1,000 worms to wear.
There's also silk blends where the poly is on the warp thread and the silk is on the weft, so you get the look of silk because you're seeing the silk, but you're getting the cheapness
half of it
of the poly. And that's way cheaper.
And people just, I don't know, it's like sometimes they will call it rayon, like especially with velvets, they have a silk rayon blend that is beautiful. That one I will make costumes of.
Oh yeah, that's silk on the back and rayon is the pile.
Yeah, it's delicious. And that one is gorgeous, feels like butter. And people don't know it's synthetic, but it's
rayon, so that's kind of like a rayon is still organic materials, so
but it's synthetic.
It's not silk for sure. It's manufactured.
Yes. But it's man-made, it's synthetic.
It's not processed.
It's processed in a way that takes it so far away from being natural that
but that's the issue. They say that they don't want synthetic, but that is synthetic.
I think most people don't consider rayon synthetic.
Then they have a problem with the concept of synthetic.
If it's plastic,
and I'm seeing people being like super proud of their stuff being rayon, and I'm like, it is nice, I like it, but they are the ones complaining about synthetic. So what exactly is the problem? Is when another person wears it, or is it when they wear it? Are they going to be concerned about it as well? That's, I don't know. I just watch it and I'm snarky in my mind. I don't really say anything.
But
they just want to be better then.
They want to be a have instead of a have not. And I do appreciate if someone wants to do something to like a historically plausible standard, right? If you're challenging yourself, if you're holding an event where you really want to retain a certain standard, fine. I have been to events like that, but I also think there's room. To be less classist. So I might go to 2 events where, they're going to worry about what I'm wearing. They want pictures of it. They want to know, like, how did you sew it? Do you have all the right layers, etc.? Have you done your research? And then I'm going to go to probably more events where they're a little bit more laid back, because then there's not as much pressure on me. I think there's room for both. And I do not think that we should be hard on people who want to do one or the other.
I feel like anything you want to do for yourself is valid. But if that passes towards me or others, that's when the problem begins. Like religion. Your religion is fine to you. Do not put your standards on everybody else. And the same thing with the silly thing of sewing. I work with it, but many people, that's just a hobby. They do that for fun. How silly would it be to put my standards on somebody else? you know?
And I'm
And
not
who
going to go to
am
your page and say you can't wear this or you shouldn't do this. That is completely crossing the line of
they
propriety.
do that?
That would be so rude of me to go on someone else's profile or go onto their Facebook page and say, well, what is this made of? And you shouldn't be wearing it. No,
They do it.
that is,
They do it.
like if you want to,
And I love it.
if you want to make all natural stuff, great. I will go and say it's beautiful. If you're not, I'll still go say it's beautiful if it's beautiful. And I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. And I think that your message is great because it's a more inclusive and accepting and kind message.
Yeah, this is something that I'm very into.
The other advice.
But yeah, they do it. They totally come to my page and say that I shouldn't be wearing this or that. I
Yeah.
find it especially hilarious. But that's why they have a meme. I think I need to send you that picture, but they have a meme like, oh, this is me, an intellectual that just learned about something, and now I found everything funny that people don't know about it. So one of the things is that people would look at me and they say, oh, back then there were no women that looked like you. Excuse me, there always were, and always were women that looked like me, darker or lighter, but there were. And now that there's this whole, costume community, they are finding pictures of, BIPOC people since medieval times. And it's amazing because now I'm not alone showing that we existed always. Not just in European fashion, but in Africa and Brazil as well, with our own fashion. So what are you guys talking about? Yeah. We existed. But yeah, they would say stuff like, oh, I shouldn't be wearing certain clothes for, baroness or whatever, because I wouldn't have money. Excuse me, there were women of color in Brazil that had money. This is something that I also need to, I don't know, make a video about and put the books. But yeah, they were rich. Some of them, obviously not majority, but there were rich people.
Well, I fully support you doing the things that you're doing. I love what you do. And that's why we're talking to you today, because we want other people to get to know you and cheer you on. Because for every one person who might want to come to your channel and kind of hate on it, there are 12, 13, 15, 20, 50 of us who are like, yay. So try to focus on our voices because we're the ones who matter. We love you.
I thank you so much. It is, I don't know why so difficult, but it kind of feels like the imposter syndrome going on all the time. Like, oh my gosh, those people say that they like me, but they are lying. They don't really.
The human brain is designed to do that. Every single one of us feels that same way. Every single one of us. Everyone. There is not a person. I'm friends with Bernadette. She has 1 million followers and she's still like, what are you all doing here?
Oh my gosh.
So I have a question about more of your projects. You talked a little bit about some things that you've done. What is your favorite completed project?
Yeah, I feel like I didn't like anything because I feel like I'm always behind in quality or something. I'm still learning about historical sewing. Even though I sewn for years, it's not exactly the same. There is always something different with the stitches or with the patterns and everything like that. And on top of that, it is extremely difficult to find Brazilian resources because, like I said, we didn't preserve the actual garments. So what I'm going through is I'm researching or trying to research about African fashion, about the areas that we trafficked people, and also European. And I'm focusing on Iberian Peninsula, of course, Spain and Portugal, but also France and Italy, because we had a strong influence of those countries, at least in the place where I lived. So I'm trying to focus on those things. And it's super difficult because some of the stuff is so different. Like if you see Spanish caraco, it's so different from the English one, And sometimes people will look at it and they be like, this is weird. This is not what a caraco is like. Yeah, I know, but it's our version of it. And I'm double guessing myself all the time. So I feel like most of my designs are, I want to change stuff. But if I could pick two that I liked, would be the morning gown, Victorian morning gown that I had. It's all black, and the one that I just made was Rococo. Um, it's ivory, Chemise La Reine. And they're both pretty big into fabric manipulation, which is the thing that I love most. Besides embroidery, that's fabric manipulation. So I love anything that has a lot of scrunchiness or smoking or anything like that. So those would be my favorite. And for cosplay, it would be Poison Ivy and Jasmine, Princess Jasmine. Poison Ivy specifically because I hand dyed and painted every individual leaf and cut it to a shape. Wow. And it mimics poison, not just poison ivy, but poison oak and poison smack.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
People usually like it a lot because when they look at it, they see the leaves and then they go closer and they're like, oh, this is actually poison ivy.
That's awesome. What is the silliest thing that's ever happened to you in an event?
I really tried to think about that one. The silliest thing I think happened in an event is that most kids would think I'm a real mermaid or to think I'm Disney princess. But one thing that was really silly, again, about the imposter syndrome is that I was teaching wig workshop I was about to teach a wig workshop in a convention, and that was my first big convention here in the US. And I was super nervous and waiting for, the thing to start, and everybody was doing such a great job teaching their workshops, and I felt like I'm just a girl with wigs, who's gonna want to watch something so technical? And there were so many kids, and I was like, okay, those kids are not going to stay until the end. They're not going to like it, and they love it. They were so fun. Like, they completely crowded the place, and it was really fun. It was amazing. I was laughing the entire time with them. They were so helpful, and they wanted to make the wigs as I was teaching. So it was a lot easier because I just had to tell them what to do, and they were so hands-on making the wigs, and they got to keep the wigs, and they were super happy because they got free wigs.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
It was not that funny, I guess, but to me it was pretty funny at the time because I was not expecting kids to be on a wig workshop, but they love it.
I mean, wigs are super fun, and you can change everything about how you look with a wig. It's great.
What about a sentimental or nostalgic costuming memory that you have?
Did you just see that water? Did you see that water?
No.
Can we talk about that water? Look at that jug.
Oh, wow. Hey.
She's like,
that's the secret. I'm old. I'm well, maybe I'm not that old, but I'm a little bit old. I'm 35 going 36. So
43.
43?
Yep.
Oh, you're Botox.
No, I just have long hair and dress like a child, so people think I'm young.
That's the trick.
That is the trick. Oh, and to maintain your baby fat.
There you go. I'm doing it. COVID curves. So I think my favorite memory would be my grandmother sewing and me just playing on the floor, or my mom sewing and desperate trying to finish before Carnival. And we would always start early, but in the end of the time, we would have one costume for each day. So it always had to work through the night, and that was like my favorite thing, to be around and have my cousins to be around. That it was super fun. It's like Christmas but hot.
It's like Christmas but hot.
Really hot. It's like Christmas, but think about 4th of July or something. So it's like really hot, but it feels like Christmas.
What costuming groups or organizations are you in?
So we created a group in Brazil to try to get people together, which is the costume confraria de costura histórica. So it's not just historical sewing, but this is why we put the name confrary, because we're trying to get people that maybe they don't sew, but they want to sew, or they simply want to see people sewing and learn a little bit about it. So you don't necessarily need to know how to sew to be part of it. And the other one is Sistine's group, the Historical Sewing Society here. It's awesome.
Are there any conventions or events that you recommend?
I really liked FanX in Utah, and I really loved C2E2 in Chicago. They're amazing. Both of them are amazing for different reasons. FanX is super organized and clean, and everybody's so nice. And I think it's a couple of days long as well. Staying downtown is super easy in Utah because you have free transportation within downtown. You can get the tracks there, super easy. Chicago, I was really near to the convention, so I just walked to it, and it's really fun because they have kind of like after party. They have several real after parties, and we went to some, but the one I liked most is the non-official after party that everybody stayed at the Marriott until, I guess, we get kicked out. They have eatery area, like with a couple of restaurants, and everybody just stays there. It's so amazing, and people in Chicago are so fun. So those two for cosplays. I haven't been to historical, like a proper historical event yet, but I'm pretty excited to the Fetes L'Autumne. I'm sorry, I butchered. It's a party during autumn, and it's a ball here in the Midwest, and I hope to attend.
I think you'd really like Dragon Con. If you like the costume party scene, Dragon Con, you should try that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
you'll
in
like
Georgia.
It's in Atlanta. It's in hot Atlanta. Exactly when it's at its peak hotness, which is Labor Day. So definitely, yeah. But it's amazing. And I think if you like the after parties, the entire convention is basically just an after party for 5 days. So who is your costumer crush?
Oh, okay. I have so many customer crush that I feel like it's unfair to just say a couple. And I'm gonna use this as an excuse, like a pageant answer to not answer.
Her comment in the notes says evades gracefully with a pageant answer.
There you go.
Lovely.
Because I feel it's unfair. It's just so many people.
Yeah.
If I don't say a couple, I feel like I'm being unfair, because it's just so many people.
Mm-hmm. Totes.
So yeah, I think you did a good job with that, evading gracefully. So tell us a little bit about your entertainment routine. So what is your entertainment routine as far as like songs or shows when you sew?
Okay, I watch all of the historical channels. Everything that you guys do, I'm watching. I'm creeping there. Like everybody, even like people that have like 100 followers, I'm there.
Sometimes those are the best channels.
Right. People are so creative when I guess like they're really trying to catch the audience, and I'm like, wow, that's such a great idea. I want to copy, like I always feel like, oh man, why didn't I think of that? I want to copy that. I want to do one of that. But then I'm like, okay, you can't. You can't just see something and do exactly the same thing. One, because morally wrong. Two, you don't have that money, girl. What you talking about, And so I watch you guys doing, and that fulfills my need. And another thing that I do is that my mom used to, or still does, so with samba, and we have like some kind of like playlist. And I used to hate it. I was like, why are you constantly like, why are you like trying to be so Brazilian. Like, couldn't you listen to something else? And now that I'm working, from home, she's absolutely right. My mom was always right. It's exciting, and you get faster speed. Like drums get you to the rhythm. It truly does. So I have a playlist. Now I'm into some vintage music. It's part of the research as well, but it's really because I love it. So I just wake up and I put it. And some people ask me to make like a Spotify list with.
If you will give that to us, we'll put it down below for people, because I would love to listen to that.
There you go. So I'm making a Spotify list. I'm still new to Spotify. I don't know if I know how to make it, but I'll sure make it at least on YouTube, but definitely on Spotify. I'll try making that. So yeah, I'm pretty hype all the time, and that helps me a lot.
Samba music is great to sew to. It's fantastic. Like
it is.
You're like, yeah, everything's great right now.
And it goes pretty fast. You don't even see it. And sometimes, and I was even thinking, should I allow people to see that? Sometimes you're drafting and the thing works and you do a little dance, like you're celebrating. Yeah, that happened a lot to my Hokoko one, the Rococo one. It happened a lot. I think I did more dancing than sewing on that one, but I finished.
We want to see the celebration. Yes, you should leave that in sometimes.
Always.
It's not a celebration. It's like every step is a celebration. Yes. It's not just one time.
Exactly.
That's why I'm embarrassed.
No, because we all do that too.
Oh, you do?
Okay. Oh yeah. Anytime I get anything right, I stand there going like, yeah.
You rock. Yeah, when the sleeves matched and the stripes matched, and I'm like, oh man,
so good.
I can sew. You work with it. You've been doing this for years, but still it's like, I can't really sew.
I'm actually real.
Yeah. I'm not a scam. Wow.
On my Merida dress, I got the plaid to go all the way around my waist. Like I matched all of them, and I've never matched anything in my life. So I was like, I sat there for like 5 minutes, like,
yeah. Sometimes I see the stuff and it doesn't look like I made it. That's how disconnected sometimes. I'm like, I can't believe I actually made this. I'm proud of that.
It's weird because if you disconnect and then someone asks you like how you did it, sometimes I'm like, I don't even know.
I made a costume for a girl one time. Beautiful. I think it was beautiful. And it's sad that I don't have one for me because I don't have any proof that I made it. It was she was Princess Vanellope. Oh. So that one I think I'm really proud of. So the shirt that I thought looked kind of like frosted sugar, I made with sequins. And each button I hand cast meringue. So they are hand cast, and they look like meringues, and I made the wig and everything. She loved it, and she looked so cute. And the skirt, I made the ombre. It was all handmade, and I'm so proud of that costume. I wanted a costume like that after I finished.
So I'm going to talk to you after this because I have not announced this anywhere, but I am considering doing a Vanellope von Schweetz bustle dress.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, because but I want to do a hoodie. Like I want to, because she wears a hoodie. So I want to make it. And there are Victorian hoodies. So I want to make one.
That is really cute.
Yeah. So I might need a wig.
All right. Okay. Well, you have a girl here that makes wigs. If you need one, let me know.
Excellent.
It's on your hand next week.
So tell me, who inspires you?
Definitely the women in my life. My mom, my grandmother. I would love to impress her. My grandmother was very good and very critical of everything and everybody. So far, I feel like I'm living some steps that I think she would be very proud. She would definitely be very proud of me right now because she always thought English was beautiful, and I would like to think I'm fluent in it. So to be in an interview in English that English speakers would be watching, yeah, that would definitely be a peak for her.
Your English is perfect.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, she used to think it's, very posh, very elegant to be able to speak English, and I do.
It's funny. I don't think that at all. I hear English and I'm like, oh God, this must sound horrible to other people.
No, it's, that was her favorite thing. And she was a seamstress, professional seamstress. We were military as well. And one day they got, I don't know, a committee from the United States, and they had a ball over there in Brazil. My grandfather was low ranked, so he was not welcomed to the ball, but she made the dresses for some of the wives. And that for her was like an honor to make their dresses. And she thought was beautiful that they couldn't speak Portuguese or they only spoke English. And now, she died before I learned English, but now I can speak both languages. So, and I still make the ball gowns. So yeah, I would love for her to be proud of me, to still do what she does, but with the things that she wanted. Yeah.
Like she would be.
Yeah.
I hope so.
What or who are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for my mom and my dad. My mom, she always pushes me forward, and my dad is always sweet. And it's funny because in other families it's the opposite, but that's how it is in my family. My mom is very driven, very ambitious, she's a force too, and she went from nothing to everything. She did so much stuff that I would never match her ever. and she, believe me, she asked me to to match her, but she has 3 degrees. She has a master's in engineering and electrical engineering. She also did law, and she's a PhD. She did pedagogy with me. We did it together. She was a professional athlete. She was a professional model. She did German translations. She's like,
wow,
I don't want to be her daughter.
Wow.
Yeah, she did everything. I don't. I try to, but yeah, I only have 2 degrees, which she
Only 2.
Only 2.
Right, exactly. And I'm like, Mom, most people don't even have one. I try very hard, but she will never forgive me that I quit designing, fashion designing, to move here. So I never graduated, and she would never forgive me for that. Like, you could have 3 degrees. What are you talking about? Yeah. And so I am very grateful of her, seriously, even though she thinks I'm not grateful. Brown moms, they don't think we're grateful ever. They think that, I didn't do enough, but I did. I really tried to study. And my dad, he's the sweetest. When I was 16, I decided to try law. We have like a big test for college. And my mom was like, I didn't see you study at all. You didn't study. You're not going to pass in this test. This is a waste of time. Don't even attempt, because you're just going to embarrass yourself. Yeah. Well, so my mom said that I shouldn't even waste the time because I wasn't going to pass. And I did study. So my dad, he was the one to wake up. He made me breakfast because he didn't want me to, to miss the test. And he went there, didn't say a word, waited until the end of the test, and he was praying the whole time. And I was second place on the whole university. And I was second place. I was second place because I was 16 years old. I how do you say, I tied with the first one in the unmatching I don't know how to say that in English, but the unmatching of the grades is by age. So she
Oh.
got first place and I got second place. But I could be first place if I was older than her. So yeah, I studied law when I was 16. That's when I got to college.
Wow.
Yeah. And my mom think I don't study.
Do you have a favorite inspirational quote? And if so, who is it by?
Yeah. I like there is a guy in Brazil, or there was, he's the kindness prophet, and I posted about him on my Instagram. He says that kindness generates kindness, and I think this is amazing. And he was, I mean, if you're just going to be crude about it, he was just a nobody. He was a homeless guy in Rio. Like, what could you possibly change, right? And he changed everything because he was so kind to a lot of people. Something bad happened in Rio. We had a tragedy that, again, the government wasn't very helpful, but he went there to the place that there was a fire. He planted a garden of flowers there. That's it.
Oh.
The moms that went to the place, you know, that lost their kids, saw the garden and they were very thankful of that. And he started to talk to them and comfort them, and teaching the true meaning of being kind and being thankful. And that spread in a way like so beautiful in Brazil that he started to paint the pillars of a very old bridge that maybe your grandfather helped building that bridge. But under the bridge, it was just like poor area abandoned near a cemetery. And he just painted the pillars with kind words. That's all he did. He would just do inspirational words. And it were 56 pillars that he painted with kind messages. And sure enough, people that were at the traffic jams under the bridge, they really appreciate it because it really helps with, you know, depression and that kind of thing. And he was very inspiring and kind. The government wanted to paint it over in gray because, you know, you can't unify the people. You have to have people fighting, right? So the outrage with the people were so much that they had to restore the original painting of his words. And now that is considered urban patrimony and unofficial motto for Rio. So kindness generates kindness. Kindness creates kindness. Meaning that if you want to change the world, you need to change the people, like how you express to people around you. And that will create a ripple effect of goodness.
It's true.
That's my favorite one. That's this guy.
I love that. And we'll put a link to that down below so you can read about the kindness prophet.
All right.
So, Hairan, if you could give new costumers one piece of advice, what would it be?
All right. So my piece of advice is have fun researching, enjoy the process, break any rules that you feel like you need to break, because I feel like learning and making is as fun as wearing. At least I have a lot of fun. And if you need to make something synthetic, you can. There is no costume police. Nobody's gonna know. Yeah, this is what I think. If you need to buy something that you feel like you need it, go ahead, do it. It's good for the economy. If you feel like you can't sew and you just want to purchase something, buy mine. No, just kidding. Buy from everybody that makes it, and it makes your heart, you know, goes like dum dum dum. That's the kind of thing. I don't feel like people need to follow any rules. I'm anarchist. I'm just kidding. I'm not. I'm not.
I mean, you could be a costuming anarchist. I think that's valid.
Wouldn't that be amazing to have an anarchist baroness?
Yes.
It's so funny because everything that people think I am because of the name is quite the opposite. And this is legit why I chose the name. So people are sometimes very shocked because they look at me and expect me to be very bougie, very posh and elitist. Like, and sometimes people at the beginning, not now because they know I'm snarky, but at the beginning they would tag me on costumes that they thought were subpar, thinking I was gonna say something like, how would you think you're gonna tag me on people's pictures so I can trash the person? Never. Why would they think I would do that?
I'm like having a hard time that people do that at all, let alone why you would do that. Like,
exactly.
Why would anyone do that? That's horrible.
I was like, what gave you the impression by anything that I post?
Yeah.
Why would you think I would go and, correct somebody? Never. I would never do this because I know how hard it is. I mean, now I have money, but there was a time that I didn't. There is a thing in Brazil called cesta básica, is basic basket, meaning is the basic market basket with the basic food that you have to live.
Yeah.
We have always give them away
yeah.
for people that are, how can I say, insecure about what they would eat, that kind of thing. We have always given plenty of them, more than one, at least a month. But there was this one time, my mom doesn't want me to say about it, but it is true. We have to borrow money to buy one of those basic baskets of food for ourselves. So we borrowed money to buy food because we didn't have the basic. And the basic in Brazil is pretty basic. It's like there isn't anything cheaper than rice, beans, farinha, which is like a flour, cassava flour. I always have them here. They're nice. I still eat them, but we didn't have the basics, So I know how tight the shoes can be. How am I going to be the one pointing a finger and saying, oh, she's not wearing a shift under the stays? Ooh, I wear my stays with jeans to go out, and they're awesome. Everybody loves it. I feel like such a pop star because I'm mixing my stays with, like a historical Kardashian or something.
That'll be your next project, historical Kardashian.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
It has to be, I'm gonna put rules. It has to be Edwardian.
Okay.
Because of the curves.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you just need to do whatever feels great to you. I remember this one time when we didn't have basics, but I didn't want people to know that, we were starving, basically. We sold everything, like all of the jewelry that we had, like the actual jewelry, we pawned it. And thank God we did, because we had money. We sold everything we had that was sellable. And I would still go out because I didn't want people to know that what was going on. And I have $5, not dollars, like reais. So that's like $2.50 or something. And I had $1 to share with my friends for parking, like $2, $1, whatever. If we get there earlier, women don't pay. So we need to be there earlier. So I wouldn't have to pay. And then I have $1 more or whatever to buy a bottle of water. And that was it. That was my night. And it was great. So I used to go out with like $3, $5, and that was it. So I'm going to tell people to not enjoy something that they're doing to relax because they don't have money for silk. I don't know how tight their shoes are. I'm not in their shoes. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm so passionate about people not being elitist. You don't know what it is like to wanting to be from a group and you simply can't afford. A lot of people in Brazil, and now I'm gonna, talk about my own people. A lot of people in Brazil is extremely talented. They just can't show you because they don't have the money, or the highlights aren't on them. The people that I know from Carnival, they can make everything that everybody's doing. It's just that how do you call it? Boning is extremely expensive everywhere, but we don't make them in Brazil. So the German boning, extremely expensive.
Yep.
Every dollar is 5 times our currency. So anything you do that is, for instance, $10, it's already 50 for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's super pricey. So I feel kind of guilty of spending like the amount of we spend. You know what I'm talking about. I will not disclose how much I spend, but I feel like extremely guilty. But on the other hand, I don't want to go lower and not being able to show what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
You know, because we already do that. And I kind of feel a little bit of pressure to show that Brazilians can do it too. We just didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went too political.
No, there's no too political on the show. Gigi, do you agree with that?
I don't consider it political to talk about your life experiences, especially because the way you're talking about them is what you learned from them and how you learned to be a better human being because of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope so.
Speaking of, if you have a closing message of inclusion or equity or anything like that that you'd like to share, we would love to make space for that for you.
I don't know what to say. I just say that, you know, think big, do whatever you want. There are no rules. This is something that I talk to my Brazilian followers a lot. Every time their biggest insecurity is, should I do this? I'm using synthetic, or I'm not 100% sure about this specific garment. And every time I answered the same thing, you know, there are no costume police. They're not gonna know. And even if they do know, what are they gonna do? Rip off your body and say do not enjoy? No, you can do whatever you want. And if you don't want to do historically correct, that's okay as well. I'm gonna make some plastic gowns with the mermaid, how do you call it, voile? It's like organza, mermaid organza, shape shifting color, whatever. And that's valid too, and it's gonna be beautiful. If you like plastic mermaid stuff, you're gonna like it. If you don't, you're not gonna like it. It's okay.
Not everything is for everyone, and that's fine.
Yep, exactly. You are entitled of your taste, and that's it. If I'm not putting on you, who is gonna say anything?
Right. And if you're the person that's gonna say something, don't do that.
Please mind your business. Mind your own business. Yes.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Those people are usually, in my experience, maybe I'm too big and they're afraid of me. But in my experience, they are cowards. They would say only on their internet, but they would not say anything in person. I've never went to an event that people would tell me something. Never.
Or say it behind your back.
Well, then I don't know.
They're cowards.
Come to think of it, I don't think anyone has ever said anything disparaging to my face about.
I have.
Oh, you have?
Oh yeah. SCA event.
What did they do?
Yeah. Well, okay, those are the people I don't hang out with. You're right. There are people who do it, but I have never had anyone, and I am in the SCA, come up to me and do some of the things that I've heard horror stories about it. But it's probably because my face doesn't like really lend itself to commentary.
Yeah.
I think because I'm autistic, like I have this flat effect. Like I don't care about you or anything you have to say, even though I'm probably like, oh, hi, how are you on the inside? I'll just be like this. And so they never come
of you when I first met you. And then I was like, oh, she's a squishy bunny. I love her.
I am a squishy bunny.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people would come to anybody to say mean stuff. I'm very easy to read. I'm always like, or
yeah, me too.
And I'm like, I look disgusted. If you say something, I'm gonna be like, what? Did I understand right? What does this mean? Because I always try to think that maybe my translation wasn't correct. And I kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, and maybe they think I'm crazy because I didn't understand something obvious, but I always ask them to explain, like, what? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean by this? And they are always like, oh, sometimes they will repeat something, but I'm like, are you crazy? Like, why are you saying this?
Yeah.
Do we know each other?
Go
Like,
away.
do you think you can talk to me?
Yeah.
Like, do I feel like approachable to you to say this?
I'm gonna use that line. Do I look approachable to you to say
Yeah,
this?
like, look at me. Do you honestly think I'm gonna be nice? You're gonna come to me, say that to my face,
Yeah.
and how do you think I should respond to you?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need to use that to your advantage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always to your advantage.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the end. So, all right. Thank you for joining us, Hairan. Thank you so much for letting us get to know you a little bit today. It was lovely. Thank you also to our viewers for joining us today. We will leave a list of Brazilian Baroness's information below, so you can go follow her on all of her platforms.
Please do give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't. It really helps us out and it helps get the word out. And if you have a customer of color that you think that we should interview, please use the form that we insert in the description box below to let us know who that is. And make sure to leave a little love for Hairan in the comments below. Bye, everyone.